We got to move on to our next topic because this one really is going to affect our state and our county directly financially. And this past week, on July 8th, the Supreme Court lifted a lower court injunction clearing the way for large-scale federal layoffs. So this decision will have an outsized impact on our state, Maryland, which has one of the highest concentration of federal employment per capita in the country. Cary, in Montgomery County alone, there are 100,000 federal employees living here.
I know.
And it's estimated that between 20 and 30% could be laid off. How will this hurt our county and the state?
We're already having to deal with the $3 billion deficit. I mean, it's going to hurt us hard. Mark Elrich was saying the other day he's going to try to accommodate as many jobs as he can, but he's saying that's in the hundreds, and it's just obviously not enough. The problem is the tariffs, is the Doge, is the $3.5 billion that we're adding to, tax, what do you call it, write-offs for the wealthy, and we're not dealing with the basics, infrastructure, local government needs, the public. Okay, we're just not. That's the problem, and it trickles down. Use Ronald Reagan's words.
Cary, you kind of conflated two different ideas. One being the cuts that the federal government is making, and the responsibility of the states to manage itself. And I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you that there are two issues there, but initially we've got to look at how Maryland responds and Montgomery County responds. And Mark, Maryland has joined a coalition of 19 states challenging the layoffs on various legal grounds, due process, administrative law violations. Now, but if it appears that the litigants are unsuccessful, has the county and state done enough to anticipate what can be done with this drastic loss of employment?
Well, unfortunately, this is the sort of culmination of the Montgomery County approach to economic development, which is to focus on government agencies and to look at the private sector as really kind of as scants. And we've allowed ourselves to get focused on government jobs to an extent that, look, this is not the first time. In the 90s, during the Clinton administration, there was roughly a 10% cut in federal employment, not as severe as what we're describing here. It had an effect on the economy in the area at that time as well. We also had the effect of the end of the Cold War and what that did to defense in the 90s as an issue. We need a more diversified economy, and doubling down on more government jobs is not the solution. We need to be able to have jobs grow from a variety of different sectors.
Cary, you're up on this.
Okay. Look, we've been losing jobs for the past 20 years. Okay, it's going down. Our county has done a horrible job. Okay, we've got White Flint empty. We've got Viva White Oak. I mean, and they're just starting to get interest, but a day late and a dollar short, as far as I'm concerned. In comes the federal government with Doge and with these other tariffs and et cetera, et cetera. I mean, and you would suggest that that's not going to have a super, that it doesn't deal with the responsibility of the state of Maryland. But bear in mind, a lot of our resources come from the federal government. And then finally, you have to remember when Hogan left office, he had 4,800 jobs that were left unfilled. And Wes, thinking that he was going to improve on our economic situation, he filled those jobs. And that's been a he could not have anticipated, that Donald Trump would have won the election, that he'd have done what he did.
Well. Let me stop you right there. So the issue is the deficit that we have been dealing with this year at the state level has to do with the blueprint. It has very little to do with the economy. The economy right now in Maryland 3.2% unemployment, roughly 3.2% unemployment in the county. So to try and suggest that the current budget situation that Maryland is facing is a product of Doge or Trump just flies in the face of reality. That we have not seen those economic effects as of yet. Doesn't show up in the data.
The blueprint is several years in the making. It was approved by the General Assembly. It's been postponed, and we are now paying the price. And given the fact that our current economic climate is going down, we don't have the jobs coming in. We have Doge removing, employment. We are heavily dependent, not just Montgomery, but PG County, on the federal government for employment. And then our dear president decides to give tax breaks to the most wealthy in the country, and without considering the need for infrastructure to help rebuild our economy. Look, it's a trickle-down effect. Ronald Reagan was right in that respect. And the fact of the matter is, the responsibility starts at the top and works its way down. So yeah, you want to blame Wes? Okay, he deserves to have a little bit of the culpability here, but it principally is coming from the federal government. And if we don't do something about it, and soon, Montgomery County is going to be left holding the bag. Our taxes.
Well, we could have begun this year. We could have begun this year. We had a choice about going forward with the next steps. As you mentioned, the blueprint is a multi-year. We certainly know who was elected president. We knew what he was doing in January, and yet we barreled forward with the blueprint when we could have made those changes. States, take a look across the river at Virginia. Virginia has a surplus in the same metropolitan area as Washington, D.C. The difference is they don't have this self-inflicted budget crisis that we're dealing with in Maryland.
Look, I'm not going to argue about Virginia. Apples and oranges.
No, the issue.
Why not?
The issues are General Assembly and our governor, and whether they are being responsible in their spending priorities. They instituted $1.5 billion of new taxes last year. So it's the question is, can Maryland afford this going forward if they don't take a responsibility and start cutting programs?
They're going to have to. They're going to have to do layoffs. They're going to have to, cut programs. They may have to look at, the educational program that they wanted. I forgot what
Cary,
it's called now.
You're having the last word on this because we're getting the sign that we've run out of time in the segment.